I think. Okay, awesome. Hi, let me get comfortable. I don't like the lighting. It's not the best, but it's okay. All right. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a topic that's very dear to my heart, but I felt the need to share this, and I felt the need to share my experience and to make this video because I know there's a lot of young people. I know a lot of young people who are my age right now and who are at the age that I was when I felt this way. And I just want to shed some light on this topic. It hurts my heart, knowing what I know now and thinking that there are people who are going through this, who are dealing with this, who are struggling with this mentality, and I really just want to help them see the light. I want to help them see their own self-worth and recognize that they're beautiful just the way the Lord has made them. And I just want to demolish the lies that the enemy has told us for so long, that we're not beautiful and that we're not worthy of love and that we're ugly and we're disgusting, we're gross, we look gross in this color, look gross in this clothes, that we are just, you know, worthless and are not people who deserve love. So today I'll be talking about things I did as a result of not having a higher self-esteem and not knowing my own self-worth and the way I treated myself and allowed other people to treat me. So a little backstory and experience. So I lived in Canada for 4 years. The 4 years that I lived in Canada, my mental health just went downstream with each year. Um, when I was in Canada, I already had such a low self-esteem. I'm gonna spill the beans on this one. This, and I'm not ashamed. I want to say I'm not ashamed of my story. I'm just gonna kick the enemy in his buttocks. I'm not ashamed of my story. This is what I went through. I know so many other people probably went through the exact same thing and just don't understand that their experience, their environment, and their situation does not determine their value and self-worth, and that what they've gone through and had to overcome and the battles and struggles that they have in life doesn't make them less valuable than other people who've had better opportunities, better life, better families, better situation, better job opportunities, whatever your situation may be. You're not less worthy of love, less valuable than other people who have better options and better opportunities. It's just not the truth. That's a lie from the enemy. You are just as valuable, just as worthy, just as beautiful as anybody else could be. So let me start my little story and sharing something that I haven't shared with a lot of people because well, I just it's not something that you just share like that, but I'm gonna share it. So, growing up in Canada, I remember when I moved from Jamaica to Canada, I became a little bit overweight, because there's a huge difference in food from when you like move from Jamaica to like Canada. The food that I was eating was definitely full of calories and just food that is so light but has so many calories that you eat. Like I remember as a kid, like I would eat like 3 bowls of cereal to feel full. Um, and then like the chips, the Lay's chips, and all these things, and then of course the drinks that you drink is full of sugar. The snacks are full of sugar, like the breakfast item, toasted strudels, the cereals, the Oreos. Everything is full of sugar. Moving from the small country that place that I lived in Jamaica, nothing was so full of sugar. Like everything was either, like we ate off of the land. My grandmother cooked most of everything that we ate. And even if she didn't cook it, somebody else cooked it, from scratch. We had box food in Jamaica, and someone cooked that. Someone's grandmother cooked those food. um, we didn't eat fast food, rarely. rarely ever did we eat fast food, and um, just so much better choices of food to eat and healthier, obviously. And so I moved from Jamaica to Canada and I swelled. I got chubby. Um, and as well, I started missing my family. My mental health started going down the drain. I felt like the family that I knew and I loved wasn't there anymore. And so my mental health went down the drain. On top of that, I remember when I hit puberty, this really affected my mental health a lot. So shout out and my heart goes out to anyone who's experienced this. When I hit puberty in Canada, I remember I had like I had a poor hygiene. Um, my mom was a single mom. It was just me and my mom for the most of the majority. Um, I'd wake up, walk to school, my mom was already at work, and then I'd walk home. And later in the night, my mom would get home. And honestly, my mom and I didn't really get along. We didn't really talk. Our relationship was, it wasn't a good like mother-daughter relationship. I'm not gonna lie. We really didn't talk. We didn't, I don't remember ever really talking much about my mom with about that. I never shared with my mom that I had poor hygiene. Um, I really didn't talk to my mom about much. Not that we never ever talked. What we did, it was probably about like a show or a movie or something, but we really didn't have a close like mother-daughter relationship at all. Um, and that was depressed. I struggled with my hygiene for a long time, for years, and I think that also obscured my view and perception of myself and that I was worthy. I used to think that I was gross and disgusting and nasty and I was ugly because I was chubby. And yeah, sex. And so I know through like seventh grade, eighth grade, and ninth grade, I think was the last year that I really struggled with um, my hygiene that much. When I was around 13, my mom got married to my stepfather, and we moved from Canada to the US, Arizona. And when I was there, I struggled as well with my hygiene, but I think I started figuring out like how to help myself with that, but also being like a depressed preteen teenager, like it's like I don't know, you're not functioning at the capacity that you're supposed to, right? Because you're like depressed and a lot of stuff you just it's just whatever. And not that I didn't care, because I cared, because it affected how I thought of myself, and I just felt gross. And, like I didn't have a lot of friends. I stayed to myself most of the time and was just a loner. Um, I remember in ninth grade vividly this memory. I stood, like I was, I used to be terrified of stairs. This is bad. I used to be terrified of going up the stairs because I was afraid of like other students like smelling me. And so I used to be terrified of going up the stairs, and I used to try to wait for everyone else to go up the stairs before I went, or I would try to hurry up before everyone else. So I would go up by myself. Um, and I remember going up the stairs one day, like I tried to wait for everyone to leave and I was anxious and like scared and like I wanted everyone to go before I did, but I eventually ended up went up the stairs because it was the last day of school. Everybody was going out. There was like a stampede of students just trying to leave school. Like everyone's excited, the whole school's out. Like it's just a huge amount of people. And so I didn't, and I took the bus. I didn't want to miss my bus. And so I was like, I have to go up the stairs. So I went up the stairs anxious, like fearful, every thoughts going around my mind, like, oh my gosh, like people are smelling me and I smell awful, I smell bad. And I went up the stairs and I stood in the midst of like the crowd of people and I remember just standing there and looking at all the girls, specifically the girls. I wasn't looking at the boys. I was looking at the girls and they were talking to their friends. They were laughing and smiling and I just stood in the midst of it all. and I was like tears coming down my eyes, and I was looking at everyone, and I thought, what would I give for a life like theirs? Like, what would I give to have a life like they do? Because I knew I was going to go home, and I was going to go home to a very toxic living environment. I was going to go home to just misery. Like, and I was just standing there, and I was just like, what would I give to be like any of those other girls? Like, they're so happy. They have friends, and I bet when they go home, like, they have a loving family, and it's gonna be just a positive environment. They have their mom and their dad, and they can talk to their mom and their dad, and they can be close to their mom and dad and have healthy relationships and healthy conversations. My stepdad is narcissistic. There is no healthy. There is no healthy. Okay? And all the time that I lived with my stepdad, he had this like perception of me that he would not let go off of. This man did not ever really ever get to know me. From day one, he had this view of me that he set up. It's like from day one, he had this like campaign to just like tear me down and to put an even greater divide between me and my mother, like to destroy our relationship. Like this guy, my this is like a whole other story, but my stepfather would, constantly be telling my mom stuff about um stuff like I didn't care about her. I didn't care for my mom. I didn't, stuff like that. Like spreading bad blood between me and my mom. But anyways, I remember in that period of time I felt like I had war on every side. Like in my relationship with the Lord, of course that didn't look healthy because how we see the Lord is like a reflection of how we see our parents a lot of the times. And we have to break out of that because the Lord is not our parent. And He's not going to treat us like how they treat us. The Lord is not like our earthly parents. Um, and I felt like I had huge tension in my relationship with the Lord. I felt like I was constantly running from the Lord because I struggled with so much. Like, I was also a maladaptive daydreamer to pile on top of everything else I've been saying, like, which is not related. Like, this is not, like, I will make a different video on my struggles with maladaptive daydreaming and depression because they like tie hand in hand. But like, I, I looked at all these girls, and I guess I idolized them because I was like, their life is nothing like mine. Like, what would I give to have the happiness that they have? What would I give to have a home like what they have? The purity that they have. What would I give to have that? And I say purity because, like, this is completely, I think this also played into my like self-worth and the way that I look at myself. But I remember when I was much younger, somehow I came across like porn on the internet. It was only for a short period of time because my mom found out, and I stopped going on those websites. And but my maladaptive daydreaming, like a lot of the things that I daydreamed about was like very like sexual and very unhealthy things for you to be daydreaming about. And so that was also something that the Lord had to like deliver me from. But anyways, like I remember just being that so sad, just like comparing myself in my life to all these other girls. And I just I was just a miserable wreck. And I felt so just disgusting. I felt disgusting. I felt disregarded. I felt like I didn't have any value. I didn't have any self-worth. Um, no one, like likes me that much. I felt ugly. I felt like I was ugly, and I didn't feel like I was beautiful in any way, shape, or form. And of course, on a regular basis, I have people in my life that are like parental figures that are degrading me. And so I guess, who are gaslighting me, degrading me, and telling me all these horrible things and painting me as such a horrible person. And so that's my story. That's my backstory. Now let me look at my notes because I don't want to like get far too off topic. Now, as a result of how I felt about myself and how I viewed myself in the light that I did, um, I remember, and if you're someone who does this, like big sister advice, do not do this. Don't do it, okay? I remember as a result, one of the things that I regret now looking back is like chasing a guy. Just like, it was only like one guy um, that I was ever like really interested in for a reason. But I remember like I reached out to him. He told me that he wasn't interested. He wasn't ready for like a relationship. Um, which I guess I would say looking back, props to me. Thank you, Lord, for the courage for even asking, because I didn't even think anyone could ever even like me or be interested in me because I felt like I was gross, disgusting, I look ugly, I sound dumb, like all the things. Um, and he told me he was not interested, and instead of leaving it there, like if a guy tells you they're not interested and they're not, don't chase them, don't keep like reaching out to them, don't keep texting them, leave it be, okay? Anyways, but I kept like chasing this guy. I've not I kept texting him, sending messages, just like reaching out, nothing crazy, just like, you know, just still texting, being like, "Hi, how's your day? How's your night?" Um, but really, I think that's like just chasing. Um, what helps that they would like change their mind or something. If a guy does not seem interested in you or they can't commit, like they seem interested 1 second, but then the next they're not interested, then they're wasting your time and you're wasting your time entertaining them. If a guy is not interested and they're not committed, then leave it alone because if they're interested, it will show. Don't keep texting them, don't keep reaching out to them, don't keep trailing this trail of just like, I don't know, path of hurt. Because I feel like when you keep doing that, it shows that you don't value yourself that much. Because if you know your value and your worth, then you know if they're not interested, then you don't need to chase them. You don't need, it doesn't matter what you think about this person. It doesn't matter if you think that they're your God given spouse or not. Like, do not keep, it does not matter if you think they're your God given spouse or not. Do not keep chasing them because if it's God's will, like, God has a timing for it and you have to wait for it. And if it's God's will, then you, the woman or the lady, the girl, will not have to chase this guy at all. You will not have to chase him. Do not chase. It's not your role. It's not your duty. It's not what the Lord's calling you to. Maybe in this season, He's calling you to focus on yourself and get well. Heal mentally. Okay, don't be chasing. Um, I look down on myself often. The next topic, the next thing that I do as a result of my low self-esteem is I look down on myself. I gaslight myself. I talk down to myself. If you change the way that you speak about yourself, you will change your life dramatically. You will change how you see yourself in the mirror. If every time you look at yourself in the mirror, no matter how much you want to say, man, I look ugly, if you say, I look beautiful, if you look at your face and look at the features that you love the most about yourself, you're like, I love my eyes, I love my little nose, I love, my ears, I love my hair. Like, if you speak positively about yourself, that will make your self esteem so much better. um, I had to change the way that I saw myself. I had to change the way I spoke of myself and stop saying stuff like, man, I look ugly, I smell bad, I look bad, I sound stupid, I look dumb. Um, Nobody likes me, nobody's gonna like me. Those are all assumptions, no matter how much you think that that's actually how people think. And even if people think that, like, it's probably only a few people or only specific people. Um, a lot of the times it's just what's in your head. It's only in your head. It's your own perception of yourself. Something that didn't help me at this time was my stepfather. Like I said, he also degraded me. He also talked down about me. He also would say stuff like, nobody's gonna like you. Like, nobody likes you. Like, he also would say that. And so it doesn't help when you have an adult or a parental figure in your life who's supposed to be encouraging you, who's supposed to be like helping you in life, also tearing you down and dragging you down and helping you feel more worse about yourself. If you feel like you can't get out of like degrading yourself, or you have friends or family members who make you feel less than, who make you feel like you're ugly, who make you feel like you're disgusting, you're gross, you're like the worst, who make you feel just unwanted, unloved, and ugly, not beautiful, far from beautiful, I want you to make the Lord the source of your self-worth and identity. I want you to go through the Bible, search up on Google. It's so easy. Just search on Google scriptures that the Lord says about like his children, how the Lord talks about his children. Here's one of them, Psalms 139, 1 to 14. Search up specific scriptures where the Lord speaks on how much he's loved us and how much he values his children and how much he looks out for his sheep and loves his sheep. Like the Lord, I know this can be overlooked. The Lord died for you. This can be so overlooked. Imagine, and this isn't not just somebody, like the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords saw past, saw past my hygiene issues, saw past my shyness and my struggle with like talking to people when I was younger and being able to communicate. The King of Kings saw past my maladaptive daydreaming and the things that I would daydream about, and saw past my struggle with lust and my struggles with identity, my struggles with self-worth, saw past all these things that I bottled up and that I struggled with. Um, and he saw past my brokenness from having a broken home and a narcissistic parent in an unhealthy home environment, saw past my brokenness and saw that I was worth dying for, and he died for me. He saw me from before I was born and said, you are worth dying for. Daughter of mine, you are worth dying for. I get so cheered up and so happy today when people from church look at me and they say, and they're giving me a word from the Lord, and they're like, the Lord loves you so much. Like with tears in their eye, they're crying and they're looking at me. They're like, the Lord loves you so much. And I'm looking at you right now. And I want you to know, and this is not a lie. The struggle to believe that this is a lie and that it couldn't be real is only the enemy. Don't let your flesh and the enemy mislead you. I'm telling you right now, I'm looking you in the eye and I'm telling you, the Lord loves you so much. If only we would realize that. If only we would see past our own issues and see that there is a heart, there's a God that cares more about you, that cares more about your health, that cares more about your life than you even care, that even your parents care. He cares more about your life than what you're struggling with, or what you're finding so hard to lay down. He cares more about you than he cares to make your sin, your shame, your guilt, your lust, your past stand in the way of him reaching to you. And that's why he died, to make it so easy for you to pursue his heart. We don't have to make sacrifices like they have to. We don't have to go through this whole process and ritual like what they had to back then. We just have to say, Lord, Lord, would you come into my life? We just have to invite him in. We just have to read his word and meditate on it and apply his word to our lives. We just have to talk to the Lord, pray to him, talk to him like he's a friend, like he is there. He is so in love with you. He wants your heart. He, it took me so long, y'all. It took me so long to realize that God isn't an angry God like my stepfather. He's not gonna blow up at me when I make a mistake. He's not gonna pound his chest and yell and kick and scream when I'm not doing everything perfect. I struggled so much to be perfect. And every mistake I made, I felt like God was angry and I felt like I needed to run from the Lord because that's what it was like with my parents. I couldn't make a mistake or my mistakes would be used against me. I was afraid of the Lord because I thought he was like my parents. I thought he was like my stepfather, but he isn't. The Lord is not waiting for you to slip up, mess up, and fall. The Lord is not waiting for you to make a mistake to like put you down and to light you on fire and to set you aflame and to make you look bad, to use a mistake and say, see, this is what I said about her. There's nothing good about her. See, she's selfish. See, she only cares about herself and she doesn't love anybody else. See this, like God isn't waiting for you to make a mistake, and when you make a mistake, he's not waiting to use it to set you on fire and to light you up and watch you burn. The Lord is not trying to kill you. The Lord is not trying to torment you. The Lord is a loving Father. He's not your parents. He's not your father who never was there. He's not your father who was there but gaslighted you and was narcissistic. He's not your abusive father. He's not that. He is not that. He is not that. He's not your mother. He's not any of that. And sometimes it's so hard when you come from a broken home because you don't know what healthy looks like. You don't know what a healthy love looks like. And so it's hard for you to trust God because you couldn't even trust those people that were supposed to be your covering. So here's your scripture, Psalms 139, 114. And I'm going to read all of it 1 to 14 because it shows just how much the love of God is for us. It says, you have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. I want to pause for a second. It says, you have searched me, Lord, and you know me. That speaks to me because my stepfather did not even get to know me. He did not even get to know me. And for a long time I tried to make to like have conversations with him, but it always ended terribly wrong. And I realized that I couldn't trust him because he looks for specific things, specifically things, so he could use it against me, so he could put me on blast. God doesn't do that. And this speaks to me because it says, you have searched me, Lord, and you know me. He cares so much about you to know you. He's not trying to paint a picture of you without even ever knowing you. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. He so cares. He pays attention to all these details. Whilst my stepfather didn't care about the details. He only cared about what he wanted to care about. He didn't care about getting to know me. My stepfather only really cared about me when I got good grades and he could use it to brag to his friends at work. That's when he cared about me. That's when he would hug me. That's when he called me daughter. Apart from that, when I wasn't, willing to be controlled by him, when I wasn't falling prey, and when I wasn't being what he wanted me to be, I was, I didn't even matter. I was just a stepdaughter now. Like, he only cared about me when he could use me. And he only cared about using me to make himself feel better, to feel like he was in control of something, to feel like he had power. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before. You lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. That just speaks to me. I'm like, the Lord knows me. he took the time to know me well. And he didn't get to know me to know specifically where I'm falling short, to use my weaknesses against me, but he truthfully got to know me because he cared so much about me. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to me. The night will shine like day, for darkness is a light to you. Oh, this reminds me of the period that I lived with my parents and the years that I cried out to the Lord to rescue me, to save me. I wanted nothing more than to leave my home. I felt like it was the worst place that I could ever be. And it was. I mean, and I just, as much as I cry, and sometimes in the past I remember I was upset with the Lord because I was like, I cried out to you. You're the God who heals. You're the God who saves. Why didn't you save me from my step parent? Why didn't you save me? Why didn't you send me help from the sanctuary? I sang out to you. I cried out. I prayed. I returned to your presence daily, and I wept. I wanted you to save me, God, for years. I wanted to be gone. I wanted to be somewhere, anywhere else. And I just, I remember the Lord reminded me and showed me how much He was there. It says, if surely the darkness will hide me and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like day, for darkness is light for you. It says, if I rise on the wings of dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Wherever, throughout all these seasons that were so hard, and reality is it's not God's fault that I was there. God didn't make the choices that led me to having a narcissistic step parent. Like, it wasn't God's choice. It wasn't God's will for my life. God didn't decide, that, like, my mom decided who to marry, and I was her dependent. I was under her care. She chose who to marry. And not to, like, well, the truth is the truth. Like, it was my mom's choice. It was my mom's decision. And God gives us free choices. God gives us free reign. People can make their choices and live with the consequences. And I mean, I make choices today that will affect people. And so we make choices that will affect people. It's not God's will a lot of the times, and we blame the Lord for a lot of our situations that we've made choices or other people have made choices that has resulted in the situation at hand. It wasn't God's will for me, but He was there in the midst of it. Literally, God was like my best friend. He was my everything. I spent hours, and I got made fun of it, but I spent hours in the presence of God every day. I would fall asleep in my closet. Um, like the Lord was my everything. He was there with me. And honestly, I'm only where I am today, only has received the healing, the love of God because the Lord has delivered me now. Like, when the path was clear for me when I was like 18, the Lord brought me out. He delivered me and brought me here to Texas where I now am, where I knew I would be for years. But the Lord, like, finally did it in a season, and I'm so blessed. And being away from my parents, all these things could break off me finally. all these lies of the enemy, all these witchcraft, and all these trauma and pain, and for me to actually see God in the way that He wants me to see Him and not through the lens of what my parents would do to me. Um, just massive healing and grace, and seeing my own self worth and understanding that I'm so valuable. Let me continue reading. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. Do you know full well that you are beautiful? I don't care about your scars. I don't care about your pimples on your face. I had pimples all throughout high school, and I look at my pictures now and I say, I am beautiful. I am beautiful, like the Lord knit me together in my mother's womb. He looked at me, he chose my hair. I have beautiful hair. My hair can be a heck of a pain sometimes, okay? Um, but it's beautiful. My hair is beautiful. My face is beautiful. And I looked in the mirror and I was thinking I am so beautiful. And I even recognize now my standards that I have for myself. That, look, I'm not gonna chase someone. Like, I'm not gonna chase someone. I'm not gonna idolize people and think that people are better than me or better off than me because I don't have the same experiences, because I'm not coming from the same places they are. They're no more valuable than me. If they're rich and they came from war and they had the best family in the world, they're no more valuable than me. They're no more worthy of love. They're no more, of value than I am. They're people just the same. And I also, could marry, like if this is something that you struggle with, yes, you can also marry someone that treats you good, that treats you properly, that treats you with love and respect. A husband that has a heart for you and that is not going to abuse you in any way. You deserve someone who's going to treat you right. Don't settle for someone that reminds you of your toxic parent figure. Do not, do not settle for that. That's a generational curse. Like, that can be a generational curse because people are drawn to what they're familiar with. So a lot of moms will marry um, men who look like what they grew up with because it's familiar, and have really toxic home environment, and then the children would see that as like what a father should be like or what a husband should be like, and then go off and marry someone who's also toxic. And then the line continues, but let it break off with you. Do not marry someone who reminds you of you know your past, or your parent figures that are unhealthy. Marry someone who reminds you of Jesus. Look in the Word of God and see what a man is supposed to be. And find people who have a healthy image and idea of what a man should be. We don't know fully what healthy looks like, so look for people who have that healthy standard, and let that feed into what your idea of what healthy should be like. Reconstruct and reframe in your mind what healthy should be like and how you should view yourself, because a husband can add value to you as well. Not that that's what I'm saying, but I'm just saying you're worthy of someone who's going to treat you right when you get married. For the ladies and for the men, you as well. Also, most importantly, work on yourself in the way that you view yourself. If you have a toxic um, view of yourself, if you have an unhealthy view of yourself, then it's very valuable and worth it, I would say, for you to not necessarily be in a relationship until you have a better view of yourself, because the way that you view yourself is the way you're going to allow people to treat you. And if you're not healed and well, then you're probably going to end up in situations and relationships that are not healthy, and that are going to be a reflection of how you see yourself and what you allow, because you're not fully healed. And so, yeah. the Lord has done this in me. The Lord has brought me around to where I'm just like, hey, I remember how I used to look at myself. Like, wow. It's like completely different, completely changed. I don't think my circumstances or what I went through and all those things have an effect on my story anymore or an effect on how I view myself. I'm gorgeous, fearfully, and wonderfully made because the Lord said so. And His word tops and trumps anything any parent could ever say, anything anybody could ever say, and anything I could ever say about myself. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I pray the love of God over you. I pray God's eyes over your eyes. And I just pray that the way that you view yourself and see yourself will be changed and transformed. So you will see yourself through the eyes of Christ. I also pray that if you have an unhealthy view of the Lord Jesus, that the Lord will heal your heart, your mind, and your soul. Healed relationships that needs to be healed. Um, and set boundaries in relationships that needs to have boundaries. Like I currently don't talk to my stepfather because that relationship wouldn't be fruitful. So setting boundaries doesn't mean you're disrespectful, which I come from a home where boundaries is not a, there's no such thing as boundaries. um but you need to heal from that. There is such a thing as boundaries. It doesn't matter what your parents are saying about it. If it's not something, if they're not, we honor our parents, but there's an like you're an adult, but also you're someone that has value, and you need to set boundaries. Boundaries are healthy. And setting boundaries with your parents are healthy, even if they don't like it. Like it's a healthy thing. You can respect and honor your parents and still have boundaries to keep you safe, especially when it's a parent that doesn't have your best interest at mind or is an abusive and unhealthy parent. Um, I pray that this blesses you. I shared my heart here, and I just pray the love of God over you. I pray the grace of God. I pray He will give you the eyes and take the veils off your eyes, the witchcraft, the lies of the enemy, the things that you believed for so long and you thought were normal but are not okay. I just pray the light of Christ over you. And the Lord bless you, the Lord keep you, and make His face to shine upon you. Amen. Goodbye, guys.